The situation of crisis was created in Albania since 2019 with the earthquake. Then it deteriorated with the pandemic of the COVID. Due to such causes, Albania suffered a large number of infections, loss of lives, and most importantly, loss of hope. ADRA Albania has been working in Albania since 2092 with projects in education, and the new crisis situation brought some challenges even to our projects. First of all, due to the earthquake, many schools were demolished, so children had to attend a school program which were located in the schools near their villages, so they had to travel in long distances into the nearby villages, and for many girls this was not possible. Therefore, the school dropout rose more among the girls. Apart from that, another challenge was the lack of capacities by the local authorities to manage the situation because of the shortages in the budget, but as well in human resources. And finally, I would say that also the information spread to the public could not reach all the areas, all the communities. So many remote villages, many remote communities had difficulties in accessing information when it comes to the prevention and measurements that they had to take in order to protect themselves from the pandemic.
How did your project solve the situation?
ADRA intervened directly in the communities and villages in need for support by opening the technical learning centers. These were centers that opened the doors to all the public, but especially to those children who lacked the support from their parents, to children who had no facilities or computers, for example, to follow the online learning process. So these centers provided a certified service by psychologists, social workers, teachers, and as well volunteers who supported the children in shifts. It was organized in shifts because the maximum group allowed of children for each shift was 10. This accordingly with the measurement released by the Ministry of Health at the time. So the group of ADRA staff had to work with these children in the environment of technical learning centers, and time to time also adults had the possibility to access the centers. Because to them also were provided support through psychosocial services. So with other words, adults were invited to participate into the center, support their children, but not only, they were also offered the opportunity to be gathered in group, do some psychotherapy in groups. Especially this served to those adults who showed signs of trauma. And the psychologists also conducted some one-to-one therapy sessions with those adults who had more severe signs of the trauma after the earthquake or the pandemic as well. But the Technical Learning Center wasn't only a center that offered the facilities and such as the computers, laptops to work, or a psychosocial service. This was a center that also provided some equipment, for example, sanitizers, masks for those families, for those children who had the opportunity to buy them because of their disadvantaged economic situation. And I would say that the centers served as a point where people could find the support that they lacked by the authorities, public authorities. Apart from that, ADRA also supported the local authorities, such as the municipalities, the public schools, the health centers, with masks, with sanitizers, so that every time their staff could be equipped with the necessary tools once accessing the communities or interacting with them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In the first years of its work, in 2017 and 2018, ADRA's Community Center assisted more than 1,550 different individuals through different services. By 2021, more than 3,500 different users have passed the social center. Over the time, our center has expanded its purpose. All programs being organized within it are at everybody's disposal. Aside from the migrant and refugee group, citizens from the local community are included in those running programs which they find necessary and useful in meeting their fundamental needs. The ADRA's Community Center is visited by more than 80 children and adults on daily basis, and assistance is provided to them by more than 30 employed social workers, psychologists, legal advisors, pedagogists, teachers, translators, drivers and others. We are endeavoring now, just as we have been endeavoring in the last more than 30 years of our work, to create an ambient where people of different nationalities, religions and life experiences not only tolerate each other, but also enrich each other's lives, those broadening their minds. While studying together, playing together, working together and supporting each other, we reveal challenges and the beauty of human community in that way grows in humanity, solidarity and mutual trust. One of the major ideas of establishing the ADRA's Community Center was to facilitate and support in cooperation with other partners the process of migrant integration into local communities. One of the major tasks has been to provide support in overcoming all hardships and problems which children and parents are facing on enrolling school in the new environment for the first time or after some time. In any case, the experience of starting school, learning rules, establishing routines, time with children of the same age, including the children from the local community who attend the school. The biggest difficulties we had in working with refugees, especially with refugee children when it comes to education, are the following. Insufficient motivation of parents and children. They viewed Serbia as a transit country, do not want to learn the Serbian language, which is prescribed as the most important subject and compulsory subject in school, and mostly drop out of the school when they move to another neighboring country. Prohibition by some men to send their daughters to school also was the big problem. Complete unpreparedness of these children for a school setting such as school setting in Serbia, which is quite similar to other countries in Europe. Language barrier for specific groups for which it was occasionally difficult to find translators, for example, for Kurds. Adaptation of a certain number of children to school rules, for children who obviously needed specific kind of help for behavioral problems that would require the involvement of mental health services from the formal sector. Women and girls make a particularly sensitive group of migrants and refugees. They are exposed to specific dangers of sexual and gender-based violence along with all other challenges they are facing with. They were very often exposed to this type of violence in their countries of origin as well as on their way to Europe and the place where they are now, right here in Belgrade. Bearing that in mind, all these things from the very beginning, we have endeavored to pay particular attention to girls and women. They were given safe in a comfortable space with a room for children in ADRA's Community Center. As we have mentioned before, from the very beginning we made a decision to help the pupils and make their attendance at school easier and more successful. Having this in mind, we are organizing extracurricular activities in community center. The activities are made up of three parts: helping them to do their homework, helping them to overcome language and other learning barriers, and school and family counseling. In terms of education, everything got worse after the outbreak of the pandemics. When schools were closed, the model of distance teaching was changed, and so most schools acquired remote teaching type of classes, and it is known that a large number of refugee children do not have the conditions to attend. Some of them never had the opportunity to attend the school before in their countries of origin, and others did not attend it regularly. We are giving them back the opportunity, hoping these activities in community center to compensate partially for the things they missed in the important period of their lives.